Do we really need another hero shooter when the ones we have make us sad? They make us sad. Overwatch to Apex Legends, Valorant and Rainbow Six Siege. Do we really need one more to compete? Every single indie game that tries to do this ends up being just the same and kinda lame, and then they die the same. So FragPunk, please do something differently and maybe you can succeed. Can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? Please. This video is sponsored by War Thunder. War Thunder is a free-to-play, large-scale multiplayer action game where you operate tanks, planes, ships, and everything in between to fight in huge battles on locations around the world. And this game is available on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Mac. War Thunder perfectly captures the scale and sensation of fierce battles using military equipment. There are so many iconic machines that you can use, and also some lesser-known prototypes from the mid-20th century, all the way to the present. The graphics, physics, and sound in War Thunder are constantly getting better. So the game not only looks amazing, but it's also very immersive, like a really good movie. And in War Thunder, all advanced military technologies are available. You can even call in a nuke! The most recent update, Seek and Destroy, is a huge update. The game now features aviation from Benelux, including the famous Dutch aircraft Fokker G.IA. New missiles with active radar homing will make the aerial battles on modern aircraft even more thrilling, and dozens of improvements based on community requests. There's also 2 new maps for intense aerial and naval battles, Mysterious Valley and Bering Sea. So download War Thunder for free by using the link in the description. All new players and those who haven't played War Thunder for half a year or more will receive some special bonuses. Rentals for the P-40E1 aircraft and M4 tank for a week, along with free unique skins for them. A special decorator, Eagle of Valor, 100,000 silver lions, 3 premium vehicles for free, a week of premium account, and even more gifts. Hurry up, the American vehicle bonus season will end soon. Thank you once again to War Thunder for sponsoring, but now, back to the video. FragPunk is a new indie tactical hero shooter developed by Bad Guitar Studio. This game had very little marketing, but when I saw the trailer, I knew I needed to get into the closed alpha to give it a try. So, what is FragPunk? Like I said, FragPunk is a first-person class-based tactical shooter similar to Valorant. But what really sets it apart and caught my attention during its trailer was the interesting card mechanic that changed the way the game is played. I thought that it would be like Friends vs. Friends, where the cards were used mid-match, but it's actually more like a different indie game, Rounds, where you select the cards before each round begins. Before you log off and call me a card-playing nerd, let me explain the card mechanic and the game a bit better. Also, playing cards is cool, okay? So like Valorant or Rainbow Six Siege, the main game mode is Search and Destroy. You and your team have 1 life, and you're either planting a bomb or defending and defusing bombs. You win the round if all the enemies are killed, or if you complete the objective by blowing everything up or defusing. Between each of these rounds, you and your team will have earned shards. You'll get them from kills, assists, or just by picking them up on the ground. And your team can use the shards you've earned to pick up to 3 random cards that will alter the gameplay between each round. They can be as simple as increase the magazine size and ammo, or move faster, or even double jump. Then they can be a bit more wild, like turning the whole map into ice so everybody can slide, or giving enemies big heads, or making it so enemies can't heal. Some cards are only allowed to be used when you're on defense, like removing 1 bomb site, or increasing your defuse speed, and some are only for offense, like increasing the amount of bombs you can plant, or even being allowed to plant the bomb anywhere. You can literally just plant the bomb at spawn. The cards will range in price from 1 shard up to 5+ shards. The more expensive a card is, the better it usually is. But every card does have their use. Some cards will cost N amounts of shards, and will be better for every shard you put into it, which is honestly a pretty cool way to design cards. If not enough shards are used for a card, then that card won't be selected, and the shards will be returned to the players who try to activate it. If you have extra shards, you can even re-roll a card and get a brand new one that might be even better than the last one. Or your team can straight up not buy any cards. Sometimes it's better to save for a better card in the future, but make sure that if you're about to go into the overtime round, to use all your shards. They're not going to be needed in that final round. Whatever you choose, it will change the strategy going into that round, and it really does provide a ton of variety in a game that honestly already has a lot of it. Also, if it ends up going to overtime, the final round has nothing to do with cards. If you tie 3-3 at the end, you'll start a duel, where each team will choose the order that they will fight each other in a 1v1 duel. The winning team is the one that kills the enemy team first. So if your team just doesn't get any kills, sometimes you'll have to clutch up some of these 1v1s. And honestly, when you do, it's one of the best feelings.
Oh, bummer. Tried to bum. Okay.
So that's the core gameplay and the cards. But this is also a class-based shooter. So let's talk about... In this game, they aren't heroes, they're not legends, they're not operators, they're called Lancers, which is certainly a name. In the early alpha build, there's 10 different Lancers. Wow, 10? See, it's not that hard, Ubisoft. And this is an indie company, not a quadruple A company. Each Lancer has 3 abilities, and some even have a 4th that's a passive ability. Unlike Valorant or Overwatch or Apex, these Lancers do not have an ultimate ability that charges over time. Instead, each of these abilities can be used each round. Also, unlike Valorant, you don't have to spend any money or anything to purchase abilities, or weapons either, which I will talk about later in the pros and cons. But yeah, you can use all of your abilities every single round, which is wild because some of these abilities are broken. So let me try my best to explain each Lancer. Broker is like if Bangalore had a rocket launcher. Nitro is Torbjorn mixed with Minecraft Steve. Also, she has a robot. Hollow Point always has a sniper. So, that's fun. Jaguar is like an electric seer. Corona is just Phoenix. Seriously. Circuit is this game's Widowmaker or Loba, not because of anything she does, but yeah. Sand Mommy. Pathogen is Viper mixed with Catalyst if she also healed. Zephyr is this game's Wraith mixed with Sombra. She even has a kunai, it's kind of funny. Kismet is if Zenyatta and Kiriko also had a Bloodhound scan and didn't heal. And last but certainly not least is Axon, my favorite character. And he's like if Octane got really into guitars and bombs instead of drugs. Also, he's the only character that can slide. That's his passive ability. So you know a lot of these movement people are going to be using him. Some Lancers are better for offense or defense. Some are better on specific maps, or even better if the shard card suits them. Unlike Valorant, you can switch characters between each round, so you're not stuck to one character the whole time, and it means that you can choose a specific character that better fits the card that you chose. So that's the game in a huge nutshell. It's really as if Valorant had a bit more movement and didn't punish you for moving. So it's really more like Call of Duty Search and Destroy with individual character abilities. But now, let's review this game with the... I genuinely think that this game's card mechanic is genius. It has a lot of potential to really spice up gameplay and thus never really gets stale. You can tell that they were having fun when it came to designing some of these cards because some are really goofy, like Turtleback. Come on, man. It's just so stupid. It's amazing. There's some issues I have with the cards in terms of balance, which I'll talk about in the cons, but know that I respect the risks that this game is willing to take to be a bit different. The gunplay is solid. Each gun genuinely feels different than another. And unlike Valorant, I'm actually not garbage at it. Woo! I like the character designs so far. Sure, some are a bit basic like Hollow Point and Zephyr, but they all do feel distinct enough to differentiate and play way different than each other. Leveling up seemed pretty easy, and I was able to unlock all the characters after playing for like 2 days. It might have been that it's the closed alpha, but if it's not too difficult to unlock characters, this game will definitely feel less like a grind. Also, the art style, I think it's really cool. It just pops. Okay, so let's really talk about the entire game's balance. It's really non-existent. Let's start with the cards. The cards are randomly selected, so one team can easily have the better draw that round. Sure, you'll know what they chose, but it doesn't matter if what they chose is so much stronger than what you have. I think instead of making the cards completely random, they should kind of copy Friends vs. Friends. I think they should let players build a deck where they can choose which cards they like to use. But that way, players can choose cards they really like and not use cards that they don't ever use. And you can build unique decks to suit the team's strategy. If a 5-stack came in with a plan, this game could have so much depth on the competitive side when it comes to the cards. Otherwise, it can feel a bit annoying with how random it all is. Now let's talk about the weapons buy phase. This game takes a strange approach where you can only use a gun once, and you can only use it again if you survive the round with it. It's a clever way to get people to use all of the weapons, but also that's really not the best approach. I honestly think this game would benefit from copying Valorant or CSGO by having a buy phase for the weapons. That way there's even pistol rounds and rounds where you have to save. Just different ways to approach the rounds, because otherwise there's no point in not bringing a weapon into every single round. The reason why it will definitely matter is if they ever want to add guns to the game, they kind of can't without completely messing up the balance of this current system. Maybe other people like it, but I'm just not a fan of the way the system works. But I can live with this system. What I can't live with is the way abilities work in this game. You get every single one every round, and that's just too much. It ends up becoming ability spam the game, and some of these are just objectively broken. Having a rocket launcher every round, or a one-shot sniper every round, having healing every round, there's no counterplay and there's no downside to not using these abilities. Ironically, these characters would have benefited from having ultimates, and some of their abilities could be ultimates, as these abilities would be used less frequently and can be something you prepare for and anticipate. I just think overall, if they want to keep all of these abilities, there should be a mechanic where abilities are earned over time and can't just be spammed every single round. Also, I honestly think that this game could be significantly better as more of a Call of Duty arena type shooter. Let me explain. I really do like the search and destroy aspect of this game, but there's some sauce in the team deathmatch mode. I find myself having a lot of fun playing the team deathmatch mode, but the game mode clearly wasn't made for this game. You have one spawn so you can easily get spawn camped, and the cards don't even exist in this mode. But there's potential here. So here's my pitch. Make some maps that are just more for an arena shooter type mode, with dynamic spawns like Call of Duty. Have each player earn cards like kill streaks that can be used whenever you earn them and last a certain amount of time instead of being permanent. And all of a sudden, we have a wildly unique Call of Duty side mode that embraces the card elements and works well with the crazy amount of abilities in this game. I don't think it would be hard to implement, and it would give this game some legs instead of trying to compete with a juggernaut like Valorant. Sure, you'd be competing against Call of Duty, but you would have multiple outlets you can try. Just my 2 cents. Overall, this game has loads of potential. With a solid art style and decent gameplay, it just needs to really figure out what game mode suits it the best, and which lane it wants to try and compete in, because I think the cards really give it endless possibilities. It's just a mess in terms of balance, and it does feel like it needs time to really figure out what exactly it's trying to do. Don't get me wrong, I really like the core game mode, and if that's all they focus on, good. They just gotta make sure that it's balanced. So I'll be giving Frag Punk a 7.5 out of 10. If they can really hone in and perfect their main game, while also really figuring out how to maximize and optimize the card mechanic, it could be one of the most unique and coolest FPS shooters in 2024. But what do you think? Were you lucky enough to actually get into the closed alpha? And if so, what would you rate it? If not, I'll make sure to stream the beta whenever it drops, which will hopefully be soon because I really did enjoy the game and I don't want to wait till 2025 to play it again. Do me a favor, if one of the FragPunk developers is watching right now, leave a comment telling us when the next beta is and I'll pin it, straight up. Okay guys, I gotta go finish recording the rest of my albums, so I'll catch you later. Ya Noobs!